Hello everyone, this is Charlotte and this is a podcast called Chatting in Cars. It's where I talk about random topics whilst I drive to work, swearing profusely and enjoying the ride thoroughly. My apologies for my voice right now. I've got the flu again, and yet it is not COVID again, which is irritating because I don't know what the hype is about. So my voice is not going to be great today. I've been screaming at kids as well, so anyway. There's a disclaimer at the start of this podcast where I talk about sensitive topics and I swear and I attempt to cover my ass legally, I don't know. But I'm not going to stop swearing, I swear. It's part of life, it's the divine language we were given, so we're going to use it, right? Do I recognize the authority of the divine over people? Yes, I do. Alright, so I do talk about random topics, I do go on tangents. I don't stick to one tangent, and honestly, if I start with one, it's probably going to blend into another one, so you can get ready for some weird shit. Topic for today is distractions. Distractions is good and bad. Obviously, if you're looking at it critically, some distractions are good, some distractions are bad. I mean, it could go into to look at it obviously, I mean, you could see things like developing bad habits, smoking, drinking, things like that. They're obviously bad habits, aren't they? Bad distractions from, facing your problems and trying to get them fixed and things like that, which you really should be trying to fix, because otherwise it just compounds and turns into something that's an absolute clusterfuck of reality, horrible stuff. So distractions can be bad, but also distractions can be good. I mean, if you need that immediate, escape from experience that is horrible, then they can be good as well. I mean, it also gives you time to think as well, I think. My humble opinion, which means fuck all. Let's think about a grassroots level, okay? What is the point of a distraction? It can be a good thing and a bad thing, obviously. Procrastinating is probably the worst one I've got going, where I know I've got jobs. Plus I've got that sort of executive dysfunction stuff. Oh my god, my stutter's kicking in already. Well, it is Friday, and I'm fucked knackered. Oh my god, flu. You know what it is? It's I've been training, I've been working all the time, working on businesses. I've got the flu and I also have my period, so I'm fucking exhausted right now. I'm looking forward to passing out tomorrow. So even my speech goes, and I'm fine with that. I'm just gonna let it go because I know what we've been doing in the background. Procrastination. It's also energy-wise as well. Like, you get to a certain age, you just don't have the energy to keep going. So what used to be the procrastination where it's based on, I'm not really interested in this particular topic right now, so I'm just gonna put it off, now becomes that I don't have the energy to deal with this shit right now, so I'm gonna put it off. Or I'm too busy right now doing other things, and I put it off. But when you're sitting on your phone or on your YouTube and you're bored off your mind and you just cannot be fucked doing it, that's the real procrastination. It's like, you know it needs to get done, but you can't be asked doing it. Because it's just, ugh, fuck this. Sorry, that was my visor banging. I'm guilty of that, definitely. But, it's also these days because I'm working on other projects, so I'll work during the week and my house just goes to shit. I mean, not entirely to shit, because I'm still a pretty tidy person, but I know that I need to wash my bathroom because there's makeup and all kinds of gross shit all over the sink and stuff like that. I was looking at that and my OCD kicks in, so I'm sitting there looking at it going, I've got the time for this, I've got to run. And as a relief teacher, you're on call, so if you're not ready to go when you need to go, you're going to miss out on work. So, you just got to let shit slide. So my OCD at the moment is looking at the sink going, you fucking bastard. Clean that. What are you leaving it like that for? It's disgusting. But my brain's going, I have to be somewhere else right now. So that's justified procrastination, knowing that you need to be somewhere else and you can't really control the situation. I mean, it takes 2 seconds. Realistically, it takes 2 seconds. But I'm up at 5 and I'm working on my businesses. If I'm not working on my business, I'm getting ready for the other work, which is teaching, and then I'm running off to do my thing. If they call, I have to go. It's not a question of, I'll get around to it when I've got the time, and I don't feel like it today. And living with my ex-husband, cleaning just wasn't his priority. In fact, he actually said, it's not a priority, because we cracked the shits one time and had an argument with him because he wouldn't clean. He'd use like every dish in the house and then leave them scattered around the house. And it was a case of also like leaving used tissues on tables and piles of toenails he used to cut off or pull off and just leave on tables and things like that. And of course, I played mum, so I was going around cleaning his ass and picking up after him. And it would bug the shit out of me because it's like, you're a grown-ass adult, why can't you look after yourself? And he's like, it's not a priority. I was like, well, it is a fucking priority because we're going to get sick and the house is going to go to shit and everyone will feel bad about themselves, so why aren't you helping? But he had me to do it for him because, my OCD kicks in and I'm like, well, I got to clean now. But it's very stressful because at the same time you're trying to manage your shit, to get yourself off to work and stuff like that, and you're also managing his. It's horrible. So I wouldn't recommend, if you end up with someone like that, I really wouldn't recommend staying with them because they're an asshole. And you can say, oh, but I love them and I want to look after them and this is important to us and this is important to me, so I clean. And it's like, no, you shouldn't be picking up after their ass. It's not your job. It's not. You're a grown-ass adult. Let them handle their shit. Cleaning up after them is just enabling them to be a lazy prick. And I was told that countless times, so. But my house at the moment, yes, and I digress, is a bit of a, it's not really a tip, it just needs a wipe down. It's still tidy, because I still had that sort of militaristic upbringing from my mum, thank God, which is a blessing and a curse, because the way she did it was too rough, but it works. Where you will clean and it will be in order and you will get the job done and you'll get it done the first time, it will be right. It was essentially hazing. You can't haze children, apparently it's unethical, but my mum didn't seem to mind. But yeah, so my house is pretty tidy right now. I always sort my kit when I get in from work and it's done and dusted and I'm ready for the next day before I even sit down to eat my rations. So I'm like, get your shit sorted. So when you need to go, you're ready to go. It's like packing your kit when you're in the army, make sure your shit's ready to go, because if you have to go at the drop of a hat, you are good. If you look after your kit, your kit looks after you, so you've got to be ready to go. It's very much like the army, apparently. I've been watching memes on YouTube, military memes, because I find them hilarious, and the similarities are quite interesting. You think teaching is like all fluffy and cute and looking after babies and shit, and I mean, part it is, but at the same time it's a lot of fighting to keep things running and a lot of problem solving to get shit done, which we don't have resources for, or it's broken, or it's just missing, and then dealing with fucking shit admin, and it's a lot of fighting. It's a lot like the army, actually. Which is weird, because it shouldn't be. It should be this peaceable thing, and it should be nice and fluffy and nurturing, and we're raising babies and we're looking after people, and everything's great and fluffy. But it's not. It's a shit fight. It's an absolute shit fight, particularly if you're a relief teacher, which is essentially the mercenaries of the army. So we're on pay. If we don't fight, we don't get. So you gotta fight. There's no point procrastinating when you're doing that, because if you procrastinate, you will fucking miss out and you will starve. It's interesting. You sort of force yourself into working. You might be sick, like I was sick since last Tuesday, so it's now Friday. I've been working regardless. They give you the side eye sitting there thinking you got COVID. And I'm like, well, whether I got COVID or not, regardless, I'm going to be working. We don't get sick leave. If I don't work, I don't eat. We don't get long service leave. I picked up a contract. Actually, I picked up 2 contracts, which is pretty cool. One this term, which carries on through the year, and a second one which starts next term. And it's 2 days a week. But I get holiday pay, which is a first for me, near enough. Besides the contract I had in 2014 where I was taking U2s, I actually get holiday pay, so it's going to be a little bit easier on the holidays this time. I mean, they take it out of your pay during term, but at the same time you get it back during the holidays. So I'm stoked, so I don't have to put money aside in term to deal with the shit that's coming in the future where I don't get paid. So prep for me is a big thing. It's like a super big thing. And I'm used to it now because I've been working that long. I've been working that long, 12 years now, as a teacher. 11 as a relief teacher, where you have to make sure you're ready to go prepped, and you're not getting paid on the 6-week Christmas holiday, so you've got to make sure you've got money aside for that. It covers your bills and all your rations and all that shit. But full-time teachers, I don't know if they've got a grasp of what it's like. because they've got the different reality of the pay is always there. For us, the pay is not always there. I mean, sometimes at the start of the year, you just don't have days. You don't have work. It's just not available. At the same time, you definitely go out hunting for the work. I'm always hunting for it. I'm always like trying to network as well like that, because I know if I can get in good with some schools or some admin or some deputies or something like that, they might find me more work. And I always send out my available days every week or something like that, every now and again, because I want to make sure I've got my schedule filled. I don't want to be floating around. I feel partly disappointed if I can't find the work. I'm annoyed with myself. I mean, even though it's out of my hands, if the days are just not there, if no one's sick or if no one's gone on long service leave and stuff like that, I get pissed off because I like the fight and I want to work. I definitely want to work. I don't sit on my ass. I don't do anything. And when I am at home, I get pissed off because I'm bored. 2-week holidays. 2 weeks is about all I can do. If it gets to the 6 weeks holiday, I get intensely bored and frustrated. That's why I started up all those businesses, because I had to have something to fiddle with. I can't just sit on my ass and watch TV. It drives me nuts. I have trouble sitting through movies at the moment. I'll get into someone will make a 3-hour movie and I'll go, fuck, I didn't know it was 3 hours. Jesus, what are these distractions? So distractions for me are a bit more difficult. They've got to be really interesting. Like I started up my Stardew Valley game again, because I hadn't touched it in a while because I've been working on businesses and working full time and stuff like that. But I said, look, you need a break. You need at least one day where you do fuck all. You need, And at the moment it's my Tuesday, Thursday afternoons. I'll get in from work teaching, which is intensely full on. But these days I just pass out on the couch. I'll pass on the couch. If I'm not, do fuck all on a Tuesday or Thursday, I'll go to the gym and I get home at about 11. But I force myself into situations where I have to take a break, because otherwise I am just so run down. And, I get cold sores and eczema and all that kind of shit, which I've picked up from the kids, but at the same time it's exasperated by these stress levels in my body. Made worse by, obviously. So the more stressed I get, the more run down I get, which is why you get the flu and your period at the same time, because your body's just going, what the fuck is happening? Kill everything. So that's one of the leading causes of miscarriage, is just your body being too stressed to function. So it goes, we can't look after this kid, abort. Which I think is what happened before. Anyway, that's a different story, miscarriages. Go and look at the other podcast if you want. There is a podcast called Miscarriages, I think, where I talk about mine, but yeah. Anyway. But I forced myself into having Tuesday, Thursday afternoons to myself, where I would play from 6 o'clock to 9 my Stardew Valley game. And it's a do fuck all game. You plant plants, you go and buy more seeds. And I love it because there's no conflict, there's no confrontation. I just plant my fucking trees, man. It's like what I love. I was looking for Farmville as well, but they stopped making it, I think. I don't know. That was my last game before Stardew Valley. But these days, I'm getting sick of it. I'm getting bored of sitting on my house. So I'm coming from this full day of work. I've eaten, I've napped, and I do nap because I'm old now, for about an hour, and then I start, faffing around. Everything's already prepped for the next day, so I don't have to worry about that. But I'll try and distract myself from, trying to do fucking everything by forcing myself into this game. Some people do it as they're addicted to it. I don't know how you get addicted to it. I haven't got the attention span to be addicted to anything at this point. I'm already off doing other things. Currently uploading a shitload of resources to TBT at the moment, so there's about 700 of those, which is a new batch, and I only just finished the other batch from a few weeks ago, so that's an ongoing thing I do before work. But I can only sit there for an hour or so before my hips and back start getting, sore, and I'm bored with what's going on. And at the moment, my game is halfway through winter, and it's just, there's nothing to do besides chop wood on someone else's farm, and I'm like, it's just fucking boring, man. I just want to grow some fucking flowers. So even that distraction is just flawed. It's not going anywhere particularly, so I might give that one up. I'm gonna have to find some other game to play. If you've got any recommendations, it'd be great if you leave it in the comments below. I'll go look for that, definitely. I mean, I've been looking on the Steam account, but there's just nothing to do. Little quests and stuff. I'm like, I don't want to go do that, man. I just want to chill. I just want to grow some fucking flowers, cauliflowers or something. But it's a nice distraction. I mean, if you talk about bad distractions as well, there's a lot of things you could do that just, distract you from getting anything productive done. At the moment, I sit on my Instagram account and look at cat videos. It's great on my phone. And sometimes you need those distractions, because if I'm in the classroom and I'm just getting overwhelmed, because I do. I get overstimulated because I've got the ASD. I got the autism. I do, actually. And it just gets a bit too much. And when the kids are down, their heads down, they're working, I can just sort of diffuse a bit, and it helps because I also got PDS. So if I get too overstimulated, and I've worked against this by, conditioning myself in the gym as well, like that, to elevate and de-elevate, all these kind of cognitive behavioral strategies. I elevate and de-elevate, and that way I bring it down. So when I'm in, the fray, that is the classroom, and the kids are kicking off and going fucking nuts, I can just sort of center it and calm it down and not have to worry about going fucking berserker like my parents did. So that's why I've always got that sort of persona of, oh, isn't the teacher really calm today? It's like, yes, because inside I'm having monk moments where I'm decapitating things. But, I have to stay calm for the kids. There's no way I'm going to replicate what my parents did to me. No way, no fucking way. I hate that shit. So I keep myself calm and centered, and I duck. What is it? There's a duck on the surface of the water, but the feet are kicking underneath. Crazy. There's a proper way of saying that. I can't remember it, but you've got to keep that shit at the door. And I wouldn't want to hurt the kids anyway. I fucking love those guys. But yeah, the distractions is when when the kids are working, they got their heads down, they're actually doing something, they're distracted. I will sit on my Instagram account and try and flick through and just diffuse my brain a bit, because it is overstimulating. It's all noise, there's all chaos, there's all trying to get these darlings to get some, these little fuckers some days, these darlings to go and do what they need to do so we can get on with the day. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, you got to diffuse yourself, and sometimes you got to do it on the job. You don't get a chance to wait for your break time, because in the next 10 minutes, if you can't handle this situation right now, and escape just a little bit, it's going to really fuck you up, and you're going to possibly take it out on them. So you don't want to do that, obviously, because they don't deserve that. They don't know any better. They're kids. They really don't. I mean, sometimes they get a bit cheeky, and you're like, you little shit, but you don't want to take that out. So I use my phone as a distraction sometimes. I don't sit on it all day. But every now and again I'll flick through Instagram and just try and escape a bit to get my brain straight. And then I'll be back into it. And I'm always open to kids when they need help anyway. So you'll see hands go up, or you'll be hearing your name or something like that. So that's not a bad distraction, I'd say, unless it stops you doing what you need to do as well. Things that are really bad distractions, like drug use and stuff like that, alcoholism. If you're talking about, dealing with your affectual stuff, your internal stuff, your feelings and stuff like that, people often use, sorry, my stutter's kicking in so bad. It probably sounds horrible. People dealing with childhood trauma and stuff like that, where they're drinking to cover up the horrible feelings that they don't want to deal with. That's a bad distraction. I always think that you should actually go for the core of it. But then again, I'm a bit kamikaze when it comes to dealing with that shit these days. Naturally, I internalize stuff like feelings, but these days I'm fucking over it, so I head straight into it. I'm tired of waiting. I'm impatient to get shit sorted these days. But I think that comes with age as well, because you just cut the bullshit, don't you? At some point you just get tired enough to cut the bullshit, like, right, fucking deal with it now. Deal with it now while it's small. But for the large part of my life, I internalized shit with distractions. I didn't drink and smoke and all that stuff. I never done drugs. But you find other ways of distracting yourself so you don't have to deal with the pain. I mean, I know my parents had a fucked up marriage and they took it out on us. So what I did, my distraction was to try and create this good marriage with my ex-husband, which was fucking impossible because the ingredients were shit. He was an arsehole. But I kept trying and maintaining and wanting to, make it something that it was never going to be. It never was. But you try, you live in hope of, if I can fix this, then I won't have to relive the same shit I did with my parents, sort of thing. That was my distraction at the time when I was married. And it was just keeping that system running where I felt like I was actually achieving something. And not doing what my parents did. Because even now my parents are together strangely. I think it's more of a trauma bond at the same time as toxic relationship. But they spend the majority of their days hating each other or shouting each other from other ends of the house. And it's a constant, you look at the dialogue between them and it's constant dig and a nastiness to it. And you're sitting there going, how the fuck are you two together? And you're together because you dig at each other. You're just nasty to each other. They're the same kind of person, but in different formats. And they just, I don't know who started the digging at each other, but they're just, I don't know what it is as well, that they can't let go, they can't just stop. But I looked at that and I said, look, that's not what my marriage is going to be, and I don't want it. So when I was married, I never had arguments. I never had arguments because I was constantly backing down and I was pacified, and I wanted to keep the peace. And I didn't want to participate in anything that could agitate the situation. Unfortunately for me also, my ex-husband took advantage of that, so he's non-monogamous. So all the signs I saw of him being an asshole and cheating on me, I just let slide. I didn't want to recognize them. I distracted myself with other things. I distracted myself with renovating our new apartment, or I working more, or fiddling around with some business. I didn't want to see that he was treating me like shit. It was a distraction. It was a terrible distraction. Not a healthy one at all. I mean, yes, it was constructive. I got money out of it. I built a business. I built a bloody good empire out of it. But that empire collapsed because I didn't have the foundations and structure to keep it going, because I just did not have a safe zone at home. So when I divorced him, when I separated from him, I left with the shirt on my back. I didn't have anything to back it up because everything had collapsed. There was no support from him. I couldn't hold both of us up. So even these distractions become just things that will suffocate you in the end. I had to drop everything. I couldn't keep it running. It was too exhausting. I was 10 grand in debt and I had to pay that off. I couldn't keep my businesses running while I was also, it takes a lot of work to run a business. All my energy was going into getting me out of debt, because this asshole, that was his thing. You like to wreck things and then leave. He did it with the apartment. I spent a shit ton of money trying to fix up the apartment just so we could sell it, because he wrecked it and then left, because he knew there would be a handover. I gave him the apartment at the start. I told him like a year later, I need the apartment back so I can do it up and we can sell it. Okay? I said, do you want to put some money into this? Do you want to put some effort into this? Because it's a joint project. We both need to get it sold. Our name's off it so we can go off and do our own thing. He said, no, you're better at it. You should do it. I'm like, you fucker. And that was the theme for the marriage. Is like, he would, he'd defer. He didn't want to do anything. He didn't want to put the effort in. And then he would sort of slide in a compliment, or a seeming compliment. And you'd be like, oh, fine, maybe I am better. I'll just get on with it. I mean, he was trying to, grease my ego sort of thing. But at the end, I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'll do it. I don't care at this point. I'm just going to... And anything you leave behind, I'm just going to sell. And that can pay the bill for whatever cost it is. And I didn't get much for it. I did break his fucking sauna, though. I was happy about that. I don't know if you know the sauna story. This is the kind of pretentious wanker he was. He had a sauna. It was a mobile, not mobile sauna, but it was like a mini sauna. And he used to get in it and then bark orders from the sauna. Go and turn up the TV, go get me this drink, go get me this food, go get me, You'd wait on him hand and foot. It was just another, weapon of control for me. Just another degrading situation. But I was so used to it, I thought I was being helpful. Because that's the way my parents raised me, is like, you drop your self-worth, you drop all your ego at the door and you be helpful to people. And in a way, it's a good thing. But in a way, it's a bad thing, because there's always some fucker that's going to exploit it and not give it back. But I thought I was being helpful because I'm a good girl, right? And I am a good girl, which is not a bad thing. I'm a good girl. I don't give a shit about that. I grew into a good woman, which I like. A woman's got more balls, I can tell you. We're holding you accountable now. Good girl will do anything. Good woman will stand up and say, holy fucking, how am I getting this back? You don't exploit people. You don't be nasty to them, but you say, look, this is my worth now. I've grown and this is what I'm going to do. If you can't help, then you're getting out the way. But, I broke the fuck out of that thing. I was so happy when I did that. If I had a sledgehammer, I would have taken it to it. It was only like balsa wood and shit. It was nothing to it. But to me, it was a symbol of, the kind of asshole he was. He was pretentious. It was, stupid to run. And he would use it against me. And I'm sitting there thinking, if I could break this, if I could break him, I'd be so happy. He's an asshole. I mean, you'll find it. If you ever leave someone and you find something of theirs, you're like, yeah, fuck you, I'm going to do something with this. It's slightly petty, but at the same time, you need that disconnect. You need to know that you can handle shit on your own without this person, this horrible person. And if you ever are married to someone like him, who broke you down with your self-esteem and stuff like that, just to control you, the release you get from breaking something of theirs, oh my God. You know, this is something you valued, good, fuck you. It is horrible. I know, it's nasty to do. I mean, if he was a good person, I'd feel bad, but he wasn't. Sorry, I'm going off on a tangent again. But yeah, fuck that guy, right? Fuck that guy. Sorry, I'm coughing. Distractions. But I invested so much in that to try and keep myself feeling safe. And if you look at my star chart, my birth chart, you know, if you're into astrology, and some people scoff at it, and you sit there and go, yeah, but have you looked at it out of detail? I am a maintainer in a relationship, and that's, you know, a blessing and a curse some days, because you got to question what you're maintaining at this point. Some people, like my ex-boyfriend, his birth chart says he will never know stability, and he never has, which I found hilarious, because I don't know how I thought I could help him. It's like, I'm looking at you and I'm going, this is your fate for this life. It's just like, why am I even bothering to try and help you at this point? Because you're never going to get it. You never want to get it. It's not designed that way. So I highly recommend going and looking at your birth chart if you're into astrology and esoteric stuff. I'm a maintainer. I'm looking for stability. I mean, I'm a Taurus North Node. I've got fucking, what have I got? I'm a Libra, something to do with the fucking home life. I'm a Libra, whatever that is. So I'm looking for justice and stability and balance. I know some people looking at this going, what the fuck is she on about? And I'm like, yes, but if you guys will respect Muslims and Christians, you've got to respect the alternatives as well. Come on, let's keep it even and inclusive. But that's the thing. It's like I was willing to let shit slide, and I shouldn't have. I should have found a good thing and propped that up. Instead, I found a bad thing and tried to keep it going because I thought I was right, and I was wrong. I don't mind being wrong. Everything's a learning experience on this spiritual journey. As long as you can admit that you're wrong, then you can make the changes to make it right. Distractions. I'm sorry, I'm going off on so many tangents today. This Friday, I'm just ready to go pass out on the couch again. So what kind of things are the good distractions? If you're looking for distractions that are constructive ones, productive ones, you should be looking for ones that build, I think. But it's just my humble opinion. And the most humble. You know, you're looking for things that will get you somewhere. I mean, if you know you need to be cleaning your house, then at least be looking for something that's gonna, you know, I don't know, make you money or something. He's like, my house is filthy, but at the same time, I just made $1,000. It's like, that's still constructive distraction. And you know, you can always come back to fix the house. It's not a problem at some point. And you do need to schedule that shit in. I mean, I've got executive dysfunction myself a little bit, but I always come around and come back to fixing up the things that I left hanging. And I've watched myself in the morning. Like, you make a conscious effort to watch yourself. What are your behaviors? Because then you'll know what your weaknesses are, right? I know I start things. Like, I'll start making a protein shake and then I'll leave it unwhizzed whilst I go and do my makeup. I'm going, and then you come back to it and go, why did I stop halfway through that to do? Wait a minute. It's like, so I know I'll come back to them. Or then you'll be doing your makeup and then you're like, oh, I just got to go put my shoes on. It's like, you're halfway through your makeup. It's like, well, why did I stop halfway through my makeup? I've only got foundation on. It doesn't make sense, does it? Because you sit there and think, I'm here for one job, I'll finish this. But at the same time, I know before I leave the door, that protein shake's got to be drunk. The makeup's got to be done, the shoes got to be on, and we've got to get going. It's like, so I know I've got a time limit to that. As long as I can keep that cycle running. It's like I'm watching cycles within cycles. So watch your behaviors consciously and you'll see where your weaknesses are. It's when I start something but I don't finish it that becomes a problem. And that's the reason. Like, if I'll start something, I've got so many fucking things on the go at the moment. If I don't write it down that I need these particular things done, I will get distracted and I won't be able to finish it. This is why my organizer, I've got a bright pink organizer that I cannot miss, cannot lose, because it is near enough fluoro. It's just jam-packed with things to write down and dates to do it by and just get it done. Because I know if I let my executive dysfunction, this is a big fancy word for being fucking weird, if I let that one just go, nothing will get finished because I'll get distracted. I'll go off and, you know, I'll start cleaning my room and I'll find some weird hat or something that I had 20 years ago and it's like, oh, I'm going to play with this now. Like, it might be something from my childhood, actually. I remember doing that as a kid. My mom would tell me to go clean my room and I'd be starting playing with my toys and stuff. It's like, don't do that. She'll come back and hit you. It's like, but I cannot stop myself. I must play with it. Yeah, there was always a consequence to that kind of shit. So maybe I'm trying to relive that now as an adult, I know. But I know there's a consequence if you don't sort your shit out. I mean, whereas as a kid, if I didn't, you know, fix that fucking shit on the spot and get the job done, I know the consequence was to be, you know, disciplined, as my mum used to discipline us, which was never pleasant. And if I do it as an adult now, I know I'll never get what I need to get done. So there are ways of doing things that are nice and not nice, as Tina Turner. What does she say? Tina Turner says, I love Tina Turner. She's gorgeous. We like to do things nice, but we also like to do things rough. Yeah, you got to get your shit together. Do it nice before the roughness has to happen to get the job really done. It's Friday. I'm going to have to leave there because I just pulled up to work. I'm hoping you guys have a fantastic day. If you've got distractions, try and make them constructive ones, guys. Try and get something out of it. Always be working towards something positive. Don't just sit there on your ass and on your phone. And like, you know, if you're on your phone and you're working on your YouTube or your Instagram or whatever, that at least be an influencer or something. I don't know. I don't advocate influencers because I think it's just bullshit, but at the same time, at least you're getting something out of it. If you're, you know, passing out on the couch, which I intend to do after work today, I know it's a rest, or like my body's forcing me into rest. So it's procrastination, but it's deserved and rewarded procrastination because it needs to happen because I'm waking up at 5 and going to bed at like 11. So it's not a great, most days. Some days I go to bed at like 9. So, but I'm always up at 5. It's me pushing myself too hard. So some distraction is not bad. I hope you have a fantastic Friday. I'm going to do another one on the way back, and then 2 more tomorrow as well because I've got to make a decent drive. But all my schools are local at the moment, so that's the reason I've got big gaps in between. Have a fantastic weekend, I should say, and a Friday. And I hope you guys have a great day. Okay, it's Friday. Let's get through this. Okay, I'll see you later.